What's up, you guys? It's Boomer. It's been such a long time. Just want to give you guys update. I always wanted to think of a way to call you guys something. I'll call you guys Booms. That's what I want to call my subscribers, my fans out there. Obviously, this video is more about my personal life. I know I don't really talk much about it just because I'm really an introvert person. It's mostly about my college life. College is a very interesting topic to me just because I have like really mixed opinions from it, even though I came from a very educational background, family members. My dad is actually a engineering professor in a very prestige college in Korea. If I say the name, most Koreans actually know about it. It's really that prestige. My sister went to one of the top law schools in the whole entire nation. Really, the norm from me is not because of the Asian standard or because society put in this place in my family. It's just because they actually seen success themselves on reaching that level by just going to the educational ladder. It's a public system, right? It's a public system that people can utilize, and they utilized it and became really, really successful in what they do. So obviously, if you're looking at a parent's perspective, you always want to give them not what the best is or what not is the least outcome. They just want you to just be safe, right? I think David Moltzer has like one of the best examples. He was an oil litigator, and if you don't know David Moltzer, check him out. He actually owns a sports agency. He almost like reminds me of Gary Vaynerchuk, but a more toned down person. He was actually going for law school, and this is during the late 1990s when the internet was just coming around. He had a choice when the dot-com was about to boom, the dot-com era, where he had a choice where he was going to sell ebooks, electronic books of law materials, I think it is, or he could be a oil gas litigator, which during the time was a very prestigious job during his time. So he went to his trusted advisor, which is his mom, a second grade teacher. Hey mom, I have this two choices of being an oil gas litigator or working on the internet. What do you think I should do? And she kind of gave an answer where, David, this internet thing, it's just a fad. You should really look for a real job. And funny enough is actually he went to the internet direction. In 9 months became a millionaire by selling ebooks on blog textbooks. And he talked about the biggest lesson he learned is that just because someone loves you doesn't mean they'll give you great advice. And that was one of the biggest like home run statements I think I heard my entire life, just because growing up, and I'll tell you guys one of my stories like in the next video, is that growing up with no parental figures, my mom passed away when I was 7. We were living in the States during that time, in Tucson, Arizona to be very exact. No one really could take care of me. My sister was 10 years older. So I had to move to Korea, and my aunt was basically my second mom in a sense, if you will. She actually just got finished like raising two kids of her own. If I'm not mistaken, they were about in their early 20s or in the mid 20s, and they were just off the bird nest, right? And she decided to take care of me and put me back on a bird nest that she thought she was being done with, which is my dad's sister's side, who is my aunt. And it was weird. It was not really a traditional like parenting like direction whatsoever. She actually like babied me and treated me like more like a prince that wasn't deserved to be a prince, if that makes sense, just because I went through that tragedy. And my dad was one of those dads who were just working, because my dad and my aunt didn't live together. He was in Daejeon. My aunt was living in Busan. For those who don't know, that's about an hour and a half train ride. 3 hours, I don't know how long it is. It's been such a long time. So he was actually quite in a distant place. So I didn't really have much direction, and it just almost felt like you gotta study, you gotta study, you gotta study. That's the only option that you have. And being someone who didn't really have a father figure or mother figure who was really trying to raise my standard, or someone who was trying to really push and elevate to the person I needed to be, just because I was never around those figures, or mother figure or father figure, I always felt like I was lost, if that made sense. So during college, like nothing really resonated me. I always felt like I was numb on like the things I was doing because every 2 3 years I was moving somewhere. And everyone can tell you this, and then for those who are in college or in real life, they can even say like how fast and everything went from the blink of an eye. Is that during my senior year, it was spring semester, I was taking AP Economics, and it was funny enough, it was one of those subjects that really like put me on the mood. Is like, wow, this is enticing, this is very intriguing compared to the other subjects that I ever learned, because chemistry never like really excite me, even though there was like these very like I could be a chemist, I could be a chemical engineer. It's never like sparked me in the sense that when I was in high school wanted to learn law just because like it just didn't seem like I was going to be someone who was going to be very educated or really represented someone that I don't want to represent, if that made sense. My dad was an engineer, so the funny enough is every time I hung out with my dad, who was a very hard worker and has a very lot of accomplishments, is that every time we'll hang out, it's like I turn around every like 5 minutes or 10 minutes, he'll be falling asleep or dozing off. Early on, even though I was around really successful people and who really did the traditional step of in society, I just didn't really got excited about seeing their lifestyle, right? If that made sense. And when they weren't really around with me, and I just feel like it just didn't feel comfortable and resonate with me, and it just seemed like it wasn't realistic having a lifestyle like that, if it makes sense. Or maybe I'm just wired differently. Hopefully you guys are different, and that's the reason why you're looking at this. Is that economics just seemed very realistic, and it just seems like real principles are actually applied. It's not about history, it's not about theories, it's not about like geometry, things that you won't seem like you'll apply in the real life. But economics seems like something that I was really intrigued, along with accounting. I was initially an accounting major and did that. So when I got in college, right, I was actually one of the smarter guys that are out there, believe it or not. And I don't think I was considered super smart just because I had a 3.3 or 3.4 GPA in high school, in a private school too. When I went to college, it was really funny because one of my biggest strengths growing up as a high schooler was my memory was really good. I was really one of those people who really focus on memorization, apply that to my exams, and I always like usually nailed the exams without really knowing the principle or the elements or the connecting dots of how X, Y, and Z happens. I was one of those people who really relied on my memory, so I wasn't really was paying attention in class. I think that was one of my biggest weaknesses. I would never connect the dots why chapter 1 and chapter 20, how they're interconnected. I always was memorizing what the topic's about, what it said in the textbook, rather than trying to understand the principles, which I think it was my biggest downfall. It just seemed very artificial to me, knowing that I always wanted to be in the entrepreneurial journey and always want to own my own business, just because it just fired me up. It just became more of a motivation and the desire that, but the drive and having the unlimited ceiling of income and always challenging yourself, trying to get better, just seemed more enticing to me to be in that kind of position, to go to work every single day, than actually working for a paycheck or working on a system that I really didn't believe was benefiting, is considering my family members weren't really the people that seemed happy, or they were dozing off. So it's really hurtful to say it, and I hope when they do watch it, they have a more understanding than rather being hurtful. Just knowing my family. So I won't say college was a bad experience. I'll say it was a great experience, getting to all these networks that I built, the people that I met, and all these great memories of hanging out with friends. Mostly it was more about the party lifestyle. I got sucked into my environment, because you always become the environment of your product. And I don't think I maximized it to the way I wanted to. Low responsibilities. It's all about going to class, nailing the grades. The best 4 years of your life was kind of the motto. It's kind of funny, because how do you know it is actually your best 4 years of your life when there's so much things ahead of you having a family, having a kid, going on more extravagant dates, and going outside of college, outside your boundaries, having an income where you can travel around the world, look for a lifestyle. It just didn't really resonate with me, and I think the background that I always wanted to, and being wired that I always wanted something more, coming from not something from much, I think that really resonated with me. But I don't think college was a bad experience. With all these people talking really bad about college, how you don't learn nothing, you go so much in debt, and I have $28,000 in debt for those who are curious, and it took me 5.5 years to actually graduate from college, so I'm not no smart person to say the least. But I will tell you, it was really a great experience on like dealing with things that you don't want to study, trying to be disciplined on learning new things, and actually seeing some topics that you learn, because it's all about trying to learn how to do the hard stuff or things that you don't want to do and able to apply that in real life. You're always going to go through these situations where you're not going to feel like you want to do certain things. Like cooking, the exciting part is actually prepping the work, but you have to do the dishes at the end. And if you don't do the dishes is going to stack up. You're going to have bugs and bad consequences that are around the environment. So you always have to do your chores or homework in a sense. I do not believe college is really necessary for you to be 100% successful in life. It gives you great opportunity, especially if you're looking for a job as an engineer, nurse, or going to law school, med school. Then definitely college is the route you want to take if that's what you believe, that's your purpose or calling in life. But if you're looking for something more, or if you are just doing for just to please, because I was in the position just to please my dad and my sister just so they can get off my back and saying I finished college. I mean, it was a great experience because I have friends for life, but friends come and go. I'll tell you that, and I'm not trying to say that as like a mean person. It's just trying to be more realistic and just tell you the cold hard truth behind it. Yeah, I've been really happy about taking my decision going to college. Meaning these girls are very educational, are very motivated people, and you'll see these people who are just really really on the grind and really inspiring and putting in the hours, waking up, paying for their own tuition. You see certain people that are actually do the opposite and just looking to F around, just there just because their parents told them to, which I was. College is really about like more of an experience some people should go through. Really have an understanding that it's not about the fun, the glamour, the parties. You have to do your chores, you have to do your homework, you have to do exams. There's a reason why 50% of freshmen get kicked out of the college just because they can't perform. You're going to learn a lot of life lessons, and you're going to be in front of recruiters. But yeah, you're going to learn a lot of things. Even though you're going to get a lot of debt, don't think that as a bad thing. Think that as an experience, and you're going to figure out ways on how you're going to pay off that debt. I'm not in a position that I pay off my debt yet, but you're going to be in a position of more budgeting your money and knowing that you're a little bit behind on the economics just because you took a hit on it. You're going to learn really, really quick how to really excel in life after a couple years of graduating. I don't think I'll do it differently because I think I'm more disciplined and being more educated and having the privilege that I'm 1/3 of Americans that actually have a college degree, like special to me. Or it's also, I'm glad that I can please my parents that I'm a college graduate, because I asked my dad, was like, what is your proudest moment of me? And obviously he gave the most Asian dad answer or Korean dad answer who professor background could say is, oh, when I saw you graduate and walk on the graduation ceremony. Yeah, it's a good experience. And if you're looking to have fun and really trying to meet successful people, you're going to meet great entrepreneurs in the college as well, because there's these people who are actually looking to connect and network with people as well, and they're going to be in the dorm one day and they're going to figure out like, why is anyone doing this? We just solved this problem. You're going to meet really inspiring smart people working together, just like how Mark Zuckerberg created Facebook when he was in Harvard. You're going to meet a lot of successful people. That's what I realized as well. So don't look at college as a negative thing. You're going to be really, really surprised and have a lot of fun. If you're there just for like a quick degree and get out of there and not maximize your opportunities, I think you're really wasting your time. While you're in your environment, look for sharp, inspiring people that you want to be along with and fit along with them, because whoever you're around or your environment is, you're going to be the product of that environment. Hopefully that helped. Hopefully that gave you a better perspective of college. If you like this video, give it a like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video on a more personal level. Cheers.